the whole test to scale model is like the reason you test literally is so you can fail. So it's literally like designed to like my dad always says this too, like fast failures are wins.
Yeah.
A slow failure means you took all this time you could have spent doing something else.
Yes.
So if you know something's not going to work right away, like great, next test. So like to me, it's all just how you look at it, right? Like that failure is part of me getting to the win.
Yeah.
I actually, if you flip the perspective and the paradigm on, it's like, I actually need this.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden something shitty happens, I get punched in the face. This happened yesterday. I was like having the worst fucking day.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know if
that's cool. It's cool.
The worst day. And I'm like, wait, this is the exact time when like I need to step up even more. Cause like this is the moment where I need to figure out how to get around this. And without like, this is going to help me get to my win.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm in the right place.
Yeah.
I need this.
Purpose in the youth. Purpose in the youth. Purpose in the youth podcast. Welcome back to the Purpose in the Youth podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Purpose in the Youth podcast with your favorite bearded man, the one, the only Bobbbaaaay. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Purpose in the Youth podcast with your favorite bearded man, the one, the only Bobbbaaaay. Today on the podcast, Brandin Cohen. How we doing, brother?
I'm good, man. I'm super stoked to be here.
Are you excited? How'd you feel
pumped.
this morning when you knew you were like, I got a podcast with this bearded guy. He thinks he's the man. How'd you feel about it?
To be honest with you, I was a little anxious, excited. I
little
was
anxious?
telling you beforehand, like I got connected by Parker, who was just on the show.
Yep.
And I was in Cabo a couple weeks ago, randomly before we even got connected. And Blake, who was also on your show, he runs brand for Movement. And he goes, dude, I just did this sick podcast, and I've done a lot of them before, and this one was like the best I've ever been. I'm like, this dude was setting me up, like I was killing it. I felt like the king of the world, and I was dying. And I was like, awesome, dude. And then literally 3 days later, you reached out to me, and I was like, oh, this is cool. And I saw the background, and I was like, this looks so familiar. Like, what if it's the same podcast Blake was talking about? Because obviously me and Blake are close. And Parker had connected us, and it's just funny how the world works.
See, isn't that crazy how that works?
So basically, the bottom line is, I woke up like, God, I got to bring my A game today.
Let's go.
Yeah.
So, I mean, shout out to Blake, man. He was one of those guys that just walked in. I kind of did some research on a story, and as soon as we got into that podcast, it was just high energy. This guy came in ready, just dropping gems and all that. But it's awesome that I'm just slowly starting to get to know all you guys, because I've realized this is just a massive circle of really passionate and some successful people, that these are all stories that I literally dreamed about capturing. And now just to have you in, to have Parker last week, to have Blake in previously, it's like, man, I'm finally really starting to get into some really big stories of people that this is like what I dreamed about talking about, with like getting to the real business stories. And it's just awesome to see all you guys just like super killing it. And I'm pumped to have you in here today. We got some Liquid I.V in the background, the passion fruit. Fire. I'm about to be fueling up on this every morning, but it's got to be crazy to see this product right here before your eyes, right? Like, this has been a long time coming, I would imagine.
Yeah, definitely a little surreal. Like when you're in the day-to-day grind of everything. Yeah. Like it's easy to like, you're worried about the next win and like what's coming next. And so when I get to sit down in situations like this and actually reflect back on like, the whole business and like that startup story, like to get to where we are. And then when you look at it, you're like, damn, like from scratch, like I had this idea in my head. I had people tell me I was crazy. I had people laugh at me, and now to see it here, and I'm getting invited on stuff like this. And it's just, it's really cool.
It's
really
amazing.
Yeah, it's
and
really
how
cool.
many stores are you in today? Before we get into like the backstory, just to set this up, how many stores are you in today? What's the sales looking like for Liquid I.V? Yeah,
our growth has been crazy. So we started in like mom and pop shops in like the South Bay of Los Angeles, like walk in like, hey, like, please put this on your counter. And most people were like, get out of here. And like a few gave us a shot. Yeah. Spin studios, yoga studios, like little like markets. And so we got into one Whole Foods, and I won't go into the whole store. We got into one Whole Foods. I would sample the product every weekend by myself, like sample it until we became the top selling item in that one Whole Foods. So then they gave me 2. By the end of 2015, we were in 12. And I'll give you the whole story, but we went from like 12 Whole Foods and like 100 stores in Southern California to over 20,000 stores across the country. So it's pretty wild. Yeah.
20,000 stores.
So like any retailer, like, CVS, GNC, Whole Foods, Costco, like we're in all of them, which is wild. Yeah, dude.
That is so amazing. That's just setting people up. You guys put your seatbelts on, because we're going to get into a podcast today. let's take it back though. Manhattan Beach, California. That's where you grew up.
Yeah, man.
That's where you grew up.
I know.
How amazing was that growing up?
You know what's kind of weird is like, so I grew up there. I moved a ton when I was a kid. So I was in all South Bay. Manhattan is where I went to school. So I was in Redondo Beach, Hermosa Beach, Manhattan Beach, El Segundo. But the thing is like, you know, I travel a lot now for work. I love traveling on my personal time, but like just for work, I'm always on the road. And like, you don't really realize how awesome of a little place it is until you go other places. You're like, damn, like I would love to like actually live there when I grow up, but like it's kind of where I grew up.
Yeah,
so
you know everything.
But like when you go to places, like damn, that is like a little oasis by the sea right there, you know.
And that's the thing, when you grow up in this little beach town, I can't even imagine you're just so used to that beach lifestyle of just kind of kicking in, relaxing, chilling. You're going to school year round in the middle of December and it's sunny out. Meanwhile, I'm in Massachusetts shoveling out my car.
Dude.
It's a different world, and especially when I saw that you were born and raised in Manhattan Beach, I kind of chuckled at myself. I was like, man, this guy has no idea the winters that I went through. Like the crazy winters, like none of you guys know. Dude. Who played a positive role model in your early childhood?
I mean, it's kind of cliche, but my parents were like everything to me. They're both my role models, and they're so different too.
Yeah.
So
what do they do?
So my dad's story is incredible. So he grew up Lower East Side of New York, really rough part of town. Carried a gun when he was 13. Like, was working at his dad's dairy shop, and
that's such a different world. Like,
such a different world.
God.
I know. So he's instilled like his work ethic. But his story is his dad got sick when he was like 20, and his dad was like, you can either take over the shop and run the cheese shop in New York, or like follow your passion, and like you're gonna have a lot of pressure from the rest of the family, but like I think you should go follow your passion. My dad loved art and architecture. So he moved to L.A., Manhattan Beach. He was 21. He had a Corona in his hand. It was December. His buddies at home, he had like $1,000 in his pocket. His buddies at home were like shoveling snow. And there was like blondes rolling by and like rollerblades. And he's like, fuck it, I'm not going home.
I'm staying here.
I'm in.
I'm staying here.
Yeah. So he got a job at this architecture firm at the time, a small architecture firm called Gensler. It's like 200 employees. Now he's the CEO of Gensler, which is like the largest architecture firm in the world.
Wow. So he worked his way up.
Yeah. So growing up, he wasn't there. He was still working, but he instilled this work ethic and this like killer instinct that like just pumps through my veins, man. So I was, middle class, growing up.
Yeah.
But he instilled this work ethic of like, never stop until you get to where you want to be, right? And like anything's possible. He always told me, like he'd have me recite this stuff to him, you can accomplish anything you want if you set your mind to it. And again, it's cliche, but like I have this instilled in my brain. And so when people laughed at me, I was like, no, I'll figure out how to get into CVS and I'll get into Costco. And like, I know we have this great product. And so he instilled that in me, which is awesome. And then my mom is like the total, like exact opposite. So my mom is like people person, like so caring, the biggest heart. And so I got like this combination of them, right? So like I'm like very like my thing is people. Like you've talked to these other guys who are great at like probably Facebook advertising or like digital stuff or like there's all types of things, right? Creative. Yeah. Like my dad's creative, right? Like I'm a little creative, but not really. Like I just love people. Like I'm a relationship guy, and so the combo of my dad who has that too and my mom who really has it, it's just like it's created like
power. You're a powerhouse.
Dude, I feel like I got the best of both, which is awesome. Yeah, it's
and
wild.
I think the people skill is something that cannot be taught. And I'm the same way. Like I love people. That's why we're here having a podcast. Clearly. You know what I mean? Like this is what I love to do. And there's no other job or career that I could see myself doing than something with people, because I love talking to people. I love connecting. I love hearing stories. I was never really great with math. I never was the most creative person. I still, a lot of my content that gets put out, you see like the text is not centered or whatever. I was never that person. It was always about just people and connecting with people. But when you put those two together, like yourself, the architect, and then your mother being like the loving, that's like a powerhouse for you. Then you end up translating that into kind of who you are today, I would imagine.
Man. Yeah, I feel like I got both of them with me all the time. So the personal family side versus with like the killer business instinct and like work ethic. It's a good feeling. Yeah.
How would you describe who you were in high school?
Man, I was like obsessed with sports. So I was like
golf. What else?
So I played golf, basketball, baseball.
Oh wow! So you were a 3-season athlete.
Yeah, I stopped playing baseball right away because it was the same season as golf, and I loved all three, so I didn't know what to do. After 2 seasons, I stopped playing basketball because I was starting to get letters from colleges to play golf, and so I'd always played every sport growing up, and with golf, it was just like, it was the best opportunity for me. And so I just put all my focus on it. And
so this would be your like sophomore year. You're like, you had to make
at the end of sophomore year, I started getting a couple of college letters, and I was like, all right, anything is possible. I could be in the NBA, but like,
so you were pretty passionate about basketball too.
I'm a 6-foot white dude. Like I love basketball and I could, but like, I think golf might be better calling. And so I just put like all that work ethic that we've talked about, I put it all into golf. I was like not worried about school. I wasn't worried about social. I was like, I'm going to get a college golf scholarship. And so by the end of my junior year, I got a basically a full ride to go play in college, which was really cool.
Ride.
Not almost.
And now this is your junior year and you're getting offered this?
The end of junior year.
So was this already on the mind of like, I want to go to college and play
I was
golf?
like, I want to be a pro. Yeah.
Oh, so you were all in on it.
I was like all in. Yeah. So I was actually wanted to move somewhere different because I wanted to live somewhere new. But what happened was, with golf, there's like certain areas where it's good weather and that's the better golf school. So it was like Florida, Texas, West Coast.
You can play year round.
You can play year round, right? So that's an advantage. And so it just worked out that the school I ended up going to, even though I really wanted to get away, I had this itch, like ended up being really close to. I was looking, well, if I didn't have golf, I would have probably done like a big party school somewhere, like with good school, but like also like a college atmosphere. Whereas I ended up going to LMU, Loyola Marymount, which is here in LA, and it's it's like 6,000 students, so it's not
the biggest college campus, but still,
college.
It still is something.
I loved it. I don't regret one piece of it. I met my best friends there. My company basically started out of LMU. Like everything happens for a reason, but I'll get into my NBA story that I almost went and got in Boston, but yeah, I've always had this itch to just sort of go live somewhere else, but I stayed at home because of golf.
Yeah, and I mean, especially if you're going to be trying to play that year round, like there's no reason you're going to go to middle of Boston in the winter, and then you're not. While the people that you're competing with are playing year round, what are you going to do? Go to a simulator every weekend and try to play? Like that's not going to actually work out at all for you. During your senior year, you had an injury though. Is that correct?
Damn, did your research?
Oh my man, this ain't my first rodeo, ladies and gentlemen.
Around.
What happened, and like what was going through your head?
Yeah, that injury that is actually my senior year of college. I did have an injury my senior year of high school, but my senior year of college, so I had been playing and like it was like I'm gonna be on tour. Oh,
so you got to the college part. Now it's like I'm going pro with this.
That's my focus, and I wasn't playing my best at the time. I had this shoulder injury that like the timing of it, like when you're about to graduate and like you're a little burnt out, right? You've been like grinding for a while, and it was just like, again, like everything happens for a reason. I truly believe that. Like I was like, all right, I got this injury. I'm a little burnt out. Like what else could I do if I wanted to? Like I got to heal anyway, right? So
you got to kill time.
I got to do something, right? Like I have like this crazy drive, so I went to the dean of our business school, and again, I had none of the prereqs for any of the right entrepreneurship classes, but I went to the dean of the business school, and I was like, hey, like I really like this entrepreneurship program, like I would love to get involved, and I know I'm a little late to the party, but like, and basically he's like, you don't have any of the right classes, like, but he's like,
what were you majoring in at the time?
Business, sports, like marketing, sports marketing.
Okay.
And I was fine. I wasn't like I was a bad student. I was a good student, but like it was not my focus at all, right?
You were golf.
Yeah. And so he goes, most kids send me emails and email, and like you just came right into my office and like you won't leave until you let me in. He goes, I'll let you into the program. Don't let me down. So long story short on that, I did a project my senior year during the 2010 Haiti earthquake. Wow. And I was able like in like 6 weeks to get over 20,000 meals donated to Haiti, like led a team, got on all over the news. Like I had no idea what I was doing, but it was my first taste of like, wow, like I led these people, like I'm helping people around the world. And so I won Entrepreneur of the Year at LMU when 6 months earlier, I wasn't even in the program. So that was like my first taste of, man, maybe I could maybe there's something else like out there that I was so, all of a sudden I had this new passion, right?
Yeah.
So it kind of worked out. I was kind of like, the golf is kind of not flaming out, but I was just losing like that
momentum for it.
And all of a sudden this other thing was coming through and I was like, maybe we should roll with this.
How did you get the idea to start or to give back to Haiti? Because you could have done any business, right? Like you could have started the next t-shirt. You could have sold golf clubs. Like why did you want to do something for Haiti?
A couple things. One, it was just the timing of it was there, right? So they had this huge earthquake right when I was graduating school in 2010. And I love people. And so like and I'll get to it with Liquid I.V, but like, I love helping people live a better life. Like I just got this new tat, right? CTW. I say with a lot of the guys that you're having to come on, change the world, right? And so like I want to help people live better lives. Like right now I'm doing it through hydration and we have a give back mission. But when I saw the opportunity, it was a weird class project, but they gave us a brown paper bag and they had like 5 groups in the class and they said, create any value you want out of this paper bag. Like you could have like monetary value, like any kind of value you want. And so these like 3 Asian girls who were awesome. I love them. They made like origami and they sold it. And it was the sickest thing I've ever seen. I was like, damn, like
I like this.
One weekend they were already crushing it. I was like, what am I going to do? Like, I do not have an idea like that. I don't have a skill set like that.
Yeah.
And so the Haiti earthquake was going on. And like, I would, while it was happening, I was like, how can I help? And then I was like,
you still having to use that brown bag.
And so we looked up what the Guinness Book of World Record was for paper dolls. And it was like 19,000 at the time. And I was like, what if we could get money donated and for every dollar we got, we'd connect another doll to this link and we'll try and beat the Guinness Book of World Record in the next 4 weeks. And so it was like, I was really stupid at first, I thought. And I had these 2 partners who were like, yeah, let's do it. All of a sudden it was like, Instagram wasn't even around. This is Facebook, right? Yeah. Facebook groups. We got it in all these shops. We got on like CBS News.
Wow.
And 4 weeks later, we had all these schools. So kids were, all these elementary schools were drawing on the dolls and writing notes to the children of Haiti. So it just like gives me chills.
You got momentum.
All of a sudden it was like rolling, right? And so
because everybody wants to get involved. Everyone
they want
to
help.
Yeah.
And they want to send these messages. So we created a video, and all of a sudden it was like we broke the record, and we got all these. One of the girls in my group, her mom worked for like a nonprofit where you could get I think it was for like $1.50. You get like an apple, a sandwich, and a water sent in a box to underdeveloped nations. Yeah. So like somehow we linked it all in and just made it happen. It was wild.
And so why did you get Entrepreneur of the Year?
For that project.
But what made it for like why was it you? Why were you selected? Just because the numbers, or was it because of like the message? Like was there a board of people voting?
I think they have. So
that's a pretty amazing award
awesome,
to just.
I still have it on my shelf. Are you kidding? I love it. It's like this cool crystal
of the
thing.
Year?
Yeah, man. It was. They have like a advisory council basically, and all the teachers, and I mean, there's lots of projects throughout the year, right? So.
Yeah.
It was me and the two kids in my group. The 3 of us all won like Entrepreneur of the Year for that project
as a team.
Yeah.
As a team.
So we got my little crystal, and it's just really cool. Yeah.
Wow, man, that's amazing.
It's wild.
And the fact that it's 20,000 people you affected too. Like I love the tattoo, but like to reach that many people, man, that's a lot. That's a lot of people, and that's amazing.
Thank you.
So you end up graduating, and then you go work for Arizona Diamondbacks.
Yeah, so I still love sports. Like that didn't leave me. I love entrepreneurship, but I also still love sports. And I wasn't at the time. I was like, it wasn't like I had another idea like that. But I was like, let's go get some experience. Mm-hmm. One of my mentors said like, if you get into sales, he's like, if you're not sure what you want to do, like if you get into sales, like you can't go wrong. Like you're gonna have to grind, and you're gonna learn how to deal with people.
Yes.
No
matter what you do,
no matter
it's gonna be
what
good skills.
you do in
it's
the
gonna be
future,
good skills.
Like you're always selling. Like you're selling yourself, you're selling your brand, whatever it is, a product, right? So I went to Arizona because I wanted to be involved in sports. I still wanted to get away.
And you wanted the warm weather because you want to golf, right?
Yeah, I still want to golf. But I wanted to go somewhere new was part of it too. And so there was like 450 people applied for this job. It was like a hard job to get. Like they like had 100 callbacks, 25 in-person interviews, and then they hired 3 of us. And I got one of those spots. Just like it was really cool. And my best friend, actually my 2 best friends, were the other 2 guys. Not before. We didn't know. We moved in. We like became best friends. We like same human. Imagine 3 dudes like 22 years old, like in Arizona. Yeah, it was sick. So it was like the best thing I ever could have done. And this is kind of where, for 2 years, I killed it out there.
Yeah. What was the position though? It was sales. Like marketing.
So basically, I started
selling
selling season tickets. Wow. Got into more premium stuff. Got on the marketing and branding side, and I was always itching for more, but like they didn't want to move fast enough. Yeah. Like you're young, you're in this big organization.
I know you're the new guy on town.
Sports is like awesome, and it is really cool, and it was the best first job. But like by the a year and a half in, I was like, all right, like I'm ready to do more, right? Like I really was, but I also loved the job. Like it was the perfect.
You had the
thing to
baseball
do.
Passion growing up,
yep.
And it's like you're fresh out of college. Most people are good, just taking the first job that they get, but you're walking into something that you're passionate about
every day.
Dude, that's amazing. And did you grow up a Dodger fan? Probably.
Dodger fan. So it was a little weird. That part was a little bit weird. I grew up a Dodger fan, and then the way this story actually starts is in college, I played golf. And so we had a lot of baseball guys in our dorm. And one of the guys across the hall, like we became friends. And after like 2 years, I hadn't seen he left. I don't know. I didn't know where he went.
Different schools?
I don't know. I just lost touch. I lost touch.
Okay.
So I'm walking around the stadium during spring training, and this guy's name is Ryan Wheeler. I go, Ryan, what's up, dude? He's like a big dude, right? And I was like, what are you doing out here? Like, we're in Arizona. I was like, what are you doing out here? He's like, oh, I work for the Diamondbacks. And I was like, dude, so do I. Like, there's only like 400 people. Like, how do I not know you? He's like, well, dude, I'm in the AA system. And I was like, oh shit, dude, I didn't even realize that. So fast forward 3 months, he gets called up to the bigs.
Yeah.
Playing first base and third base. So now like my best bud in Arizona is on the team. So before games, I'm going like down to the locker room, down to the clubhouse, talking to the guys.
Because obviously those are off limits beforehand. You're just another employee.
You're kind of another employee.
You kind of walk through.
Now it's my boy, right? Now it's my
Yeah.
boy. So this is when I started going down there, and these guys were all drinking, Pedialyte.
Yep.
So Pedialyte's
the hangover cure.
Hangover. They had the trainers and the nutritionists had them drink it for extreme hydration.
Oh, because Arizona's
so hot,
120 degrees probably in the middle of summer.
Dude, you're traveling, right? So like when you travel, you get really dehydrated because of the altitude. There's like less water up there, and then obviously just like working out, like you get dehydrated, and so they were drinking this, and I was like, why are the best athletes in the world drinking something that's designed for babies? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
And so that's when I started getting curious. I'm not a science guy at all, right? Yeah. So people are like, are you a chemist? I'm like, no, these guys were drinking something that wasn't designed for them, right? Yeah. So yeah, I'll stop because I'll keep going.
No, I mean, before we get into that, the only other question I'd say would be just, what did you love the most about that job? Because you have the baseball passion, like we talked about. You're learning sales. Was there something specific that you loved about it the most? Because you spent 2 years. That's a good amount of time.
Totally. I think the friends I met were awesome. So like the personal side, they were like great at sales training. They had like a farm system for sales, and so like they had me read this book called it's by Dale Carnegie, like The Leader in You. And so like every Wednesday we get there at like 6 a.m. and we'd review it for 2 hours. And like at the time we were like, this is brutal. And I'm obsessed with the book. I still read it. So now my whole team, so I give it out to my sales and marketing team. I actually have it to my ops team now too. So I run the same program I learned. They were like, I was like in their system. I'm like, this created this monster. Yeah. And I'm going to just roll
You hated it at the time, but now you're looking back like that actually.
The best thing I ever did, right? So like, it's just all about relationships and like, and so I roll that with my team now. So I'd say taking away like sort of that training process and just that book, it was amazing.
Yeah. And as I'm sure we'll get into it in a little bit, that is probably, I would imagine, you need that for success with any company. Like the team needs to be on the same page. They need to be as passionate about the project. There needs to be good communication. Like that is the only way you can scale the business to the best possible spot, is being everybody having their position, knowing what they need to do, and not half-assing and not slacking, being just as passionate as the guy or the gal who started the business, right? Dude, like that's what it comes down to.
It's everything. And as we've grown really quickly, right? So there was like 2 or 3 of us, and then it became 6, and now we're at like 18 going on 20. Like you realize like you're obviously not touching everything anymore. And so the way to like max everything is like, it starts with leadership, and the consciousness of the leaders like filters down through the team. And so, there's like, we're like hiring, right? And so as we're hiring, like you'll have someone who's applying for like a job at some awesome, cool company with like all these cool perks, right? Like we get off at 4 p.m. every day and we do happy hour, and like, which is all good. That's awesome. Yeah. And they're like, their culture is awesome. And like, I beg to differ that's what culture is. To me, those are perks. I think culture is like, we all have a common purpose. So you come to work every day and like our goal is to change the world. Like we're not just selling hydration, right? Like we want to help people live a better life. We want to help people commercially here in the United States. With every stick we sell, we're able to donate a stick to someone in need around the world. Like common purpose, right? And so like, just like what you said, like if we're all rowing in the same direction, like that's how we're going to become
the next big thing,
right? We want to be the future of healthy hydration, and we have other stuff launching, but that all starts with like this common purpose, right? And to me, that's culture. Like we're in a co-working space right now. We're moving out of it. We're in a co-working space, and everyone's like, dude, like, what do you do to make these people work so hard? And I'm like, I don't even, it's just like our culture. Like they get there like, 8:39, like we're the last ones there, our whole team. It's not like a few of us, like, because they're all involved, right? Like they're a part of this, like, it's like this amazing feeling of like us versus the world, and we really feel like we're helping people, which is cool.
And that's credit to you guys for making that, because that is great. The perks of there's Thirsty Thursday, we have beverages, there's unlimited snacks, there's a pool table. It's like, that's great. But if that's the number one reason why you're taking the job, there's a bigger problem. That's probably not the right spot. You want the company that you actually are passionate about. And if you're getting them in there early and they're staying late, it's because of you guys, of making sure you're hiring the right people, but then two, making sure that when they are working there, they never want to leave because they enjoy what they're doing.
100%.
So bringing it back, Arizona, you see everyone drinking Pedialyte. What's the trigger of, I need to create something to give to these athletes? What's the moment? What do you remember that specific thing? Was there a team of you co-found? Was it just you? How did that all kind of come together?
Yeah, it was me and a couple buddies. So that was just my first taste of it, was when I was with the Diamondbacks. I was like, this is weird. Like, these guys they're not, first of all, they're not drinking Gatorade. Like, no one's touching the Gatorade, right?
I feel like we used to see that like 10 years ago. Every athlete used to.
Even more, right? Yeah. So they're not doing that, but they're drinking this baby hydration drink. Okay, that's weird, but not going to worry. I asked the trainers, they explained the science. And at the time it was interesting, but that was all, right?
Yeah.
So I moved back to LA, and I'm going to connect this to you now. So I moved back to LA, and I'm like, all right, like, I want to live in a new place. Like,
so you're back in LA. Now you're thinking about moving to.
It was kind of started in Arizona. I had a plan. I was like, I'm going to move back for a little. I'm going to study to go get my MBA. Cause like my dad never got his MBA. He's like, yo, it gives you an edge if you go get it. I was like, all right. I was like, I kind of think that's good, but like, I kind of just want to live in a new city, and like I can probably have some side projects that would be my focus. Mm-hmm. So I'm like studying for the GMAT, like, and really what I'm doing is I'm like getting this going. But I'm back in LA, and all my young professional friends are drinking Pedialyte for active lifestyle hydration, but also for like hangovers.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so there's something wrong with this picture. Like, adults just drinking something that's not designed for them, right? So
they sell it in the kids aisle, don't they?
Kids aisle, totally. So I start looking into the science of it, and really like breakthrough science called oral rehydration therapy. And so it was developed by the World Health Organization back in the 1970s, and it was designed mostly for like women and children in underdeveloped nations. So when they like attract exotic diseases like cholera, their digestive systems get totally racked out. So it's like if you or I get the stomach flu, like if we got really, really sick, like you go to the hospital and you get an IV stuck in your arm, because it's the only way to get the water and the nutrients in your bloodstream, because you can't hold it down, right? It's not getting in your bloodstream. They
put it right into your bloodline.
So in these underdeveloped countries, they don't have access to medical, attention like that. And so this simple solution, sodium, glucose, and potassium mixed with water, allows water to absorb into your bloodstream way more efficiently, so more of the water and way faster. So I started reading this, and I started reading all the clinical research on it. I was like, holy crap. I was like, what other products are using this right now? Like, using the science. And at the time, 5 years ago, just Pedialyte. And I was like, so what if you could just take that, it's like a similar idea, like make it way healthier. So there's all this crap that is in those drinks. There's artificial flavors, artificial sweeteners. They do it to keep it on the shelves long. There's preservatives, like ton of crap in it, right? It works, but it also has crap in it. And then create a cool like adult lifestyle brand around this like revolutionary but sort of underground science. And so that was like the very original idea. So I was, everyone thought I was like studying for this GMAT. I actually applied. I got accepted to a few schools, but I decided I was going to go to Boston University.
Oh, wow.
I got accepted.
You got accepted.
I picked out an apartment in like Back Bay or something. I don't even know.
Oh my God.
I did the whole thing, and I was like, this thing was just getting rolling, right? And I was like,
this is 2012.
This is the end of 2012. Yeah. So the ideas kind of coming together. And so I decided, okay, you know what? I worked so hard to get I applied, I did the whole damn thing. Yeah. And I was like, maybe I can defer a year, and they'll let me. They're like, okay, yeah, we'll let you defer, like you're working on this thing. So I deferred a year, and that's when like things took off. And so I never, obviously,
you clearly didn't.
I think I'm getting
back.
my MBA.
Wow. So it really just was this idea of, what could this possibly become? Not knowing where it's going to take you, but there was a group of you, and you all were on the same page of, we should probably see how this goes.
Yeah, I mean, there was clearly a market, because there were people already using a similar thing that wasn't meant for it. So if we could tell that story, and again, we talked about this offline, but like we use this model, test to scale.
Yeah,
I live by this thing, right? And so the idea is like let's see if it will work. Like, I could think the idea is amazing. I could think my packaging looks great. Like, me and my buddies could think it's like we have God's greatest gift to earth. It's about the market, right? So if people like your product, like that is all that matters, right? So when we started getting it out, like into these like little yoga studios, right? I'd give them a free case. I'd say, please just put it out on your counter. If it sells, like if it sells, like then you can buy it. But right now we'll give it to you for free. So we put it on the counter. We sent all our friends in all week to go buy the product all week long. So they were like, you know what, this is good. We'll buy one. And we get one more studio. And so it was very like we were kind of hacking it to make sure that but then like that was just to give us a shot. Then like we leave it there and we left that store alone for a month and they would reorder like 8-9 reorders in a month. And I was like, okay, there's something happening here. Right. And so
not just the friends anymore buying it.
No. Like we did that to make sure they would buy their first order. And then all of a sudden it was like, well, maybe they'll order again. And like the next time we look, they've ordered 8 or 9 times, which is like, okay, so the market's saying like they're looking like dehydration is starting to become a thing. Like,
it also helps too that you're in LA with this because everybody here is health conscious. You want to talk, my man. I moved to LA almost a year ago. Now I'm drinking almond milk. Now I'm like eating spinach. I'm like
kombucha, kale.
I'm like, Mom, LA has changed the kid. You know what I mean?
It's so funny.
It definitely helps that you're starting in a market that is looking for that.
Right.
And what's just to like not to go into like the nitty gritty details, but what is the science behind of like why like I put this in my glass of water right now. Yep. This ends up making it like 2 to 3 times worth of drinking water.
Yeah.
And that's hydrating you. So you're like pretty much one of these a day would pretty much hydrate you. Because what's the recommended drinking water a day?
I think it all starts with the need, right? So like everyone here is like, you got to drink like 8 to 10 glasses of water a day to stay properly hydrated.
Yeah.
And the reason you have to drink so much water is because your body can only absorb, let's call it like, if you're thinking of a bottle, you can absorb maybe 20% of the bottle. The rest doesn't get absorbed into your bloodstream. So you're going to the bathroom, you're sweating it out. So you have to drink so much because it's not just about intake, it's about uptake to your cells, right? So what our product does, sodium, glucose, potassium, when you mix it into a glass of water, without it, right? In yours, without it, you're going to absorb like this much of it.
Okay.
With our product, you're going to absorb maybe 75 to 80% of the water. And by the way, it happens in 15 minutes. So it's all about absorption. And the thing is like, I can talk about it all I want. We're still educating people on it. But the best thing about it is like, we just got it into people's hands and like people loved it. Right. So like they can feel the difference. They're like, gosh, like I don't drink enough water every day. Or like I drink a cup of coffee in the morning and then like I drink another one in the afternoon. And most people like don't know that the reason that like they need more energy is because they're just dehydrated in the afternoon. Like your body's made up of 75-80% water, depending on who you are. But like
you need that
all
water.
Your systems,
you need to drink that water.
Hydration is like, so a lot of things that people like take medicine for, it's like at its core is probably dehydration, like because it's hard to drink enough water. So
yeah, I know. I try to drink. Literally, I mean, when I first wake up every morning, I drink 1 full cup of water, but then after that, I try to drink as much, but it ends up being a mix of water, coffee, sometimes throwing some Tenzo tea, shout out to Robbie Page. But no, it ends up being a mix, but I try my best to drink as much water as possible because you feel it. You feel the energy. You feel like you're more awake. And as we were talking about it before, of just eating the right things, also working out, mental health, all that plays a role, but I do believe, as we were just saying, like that water is necessary. But then if you have a product like this that's amplifying that, it's a no-brainer, and it tastes good. Like it straight up tastes good. I'm not gonna the bullshit the listeners, but the passion fruit that I just tried, which you said has only been out for a month now. Like it actually, I'm like, okay, I like that. Like, let me get some more of this. I had a question. I had posted something on Instagram, and I had my man Louise, who I actually went to college with. He wanted me to ask a question.
Cool.
Talk about, so you guys are going out there, you're getting into those first couple stores, the yogas.
Yeah.
And then as we started in the beginning of the podcast, now you're at 20,000 plus.
Yeah.
How did you score the bigger contracts?
Yeah.
I'm sure that is a podcast in itself, but how did, in a long story short, how did that kind of all happen?
Yeah. So again, test to scale. So we had some data now, right? We had these like mom and pop stores, and we're like, we could show people like, here's how many sticks we're moving per month in a door, in a location, right? So my thing was like, we have this healthy product. I know if I can get into Whole Foods, like everyone, all the big retailers look to Whole Foods. They want to, what are they doing? Like they have the coolest, like healthiest, like newest stuff. What are they doing? And so I was like, I just gonna need to figure out how to get into one Whole Foods. That was what I said. So like, is there some magic potion? No, I Googled it. I said, how do you get into Whole Foods if you're a supplier? So like there was this like the supplier 101 class in in Oxnard. And I was like, it's like an hour and a half away. I was like, there's one day. I was like, all right, I'm going to go out there. So I show up. There's like 60 or 70 brands there.
Wow.
Like, I have no idea. They're like asking me what kind of ink I use on my packaging. I'm like, I'll get back to you on that one. But like, I made, again, relationships. I like built a relationship with like one of the buyers and then the assistant buyer and this girl called the forager. And like, so like within 3 weeks, I was there like all day. Like everyone else left. I was just like, I'm staying there. I'm going to figure out how to make this work. And so out of like the 70 brands there, 2 of them got accepted into one store. It was like us and this one other brand. And so now I have my one store and I was like, I need to make this store kill it. If I can make this one store kill it, now I can show this, right? It's like another test.
Yes.
So I literally would sample it. I would get my table, I'd put my tablecloth on and I would just like, let me tell you why hydration is important. Just try it. This is equal to 3 bottles of water, blah, blah, blah.
So you'd go in there yourself and do it.
100%. And people would be like, oh, it's so great. Like you have so much passion. Like, where do they hire you from? Are you a sales guy? I was like, no, this is my company. And they were like, wait, really? And then they got even more excited about it.
Because they see you out there doing it.
Right. So the word started to spread. And like, that's when we started, right? We ran a little bit of Facebook ads just around the store to like get a little more buzz. And so when they saw how much we were selling, we became the top selling item in that whole body department after like 3 months. So they gave us one more store. And so I'll fast forward to the 20,000. So basically now we had these 100 stores in SoCal, 12 Whole Foods.
Yep.
This is in 2015. And I was introduced to a guy named Scott Emerson, who he runs the Emerson Group, which is like best in class, like national distribution to all the top retailers.
Yep.
And he normally does more like OTC brands, like a little more old school type stuff.
Yeah.
And he was like, you guys have this like sexy, awesome brand and your POS data is insane. Like every store you put it in, it's killing it. I have all the points of distribution you can want. We should partner up. And I'm like, let's do it.
Like, I got nothing to lose.
Right.
Let's do it.
So to start 2016, he said, you should go to this show called ECRM. It's in Vegas. You get a hotel room, you deck it out with all your stuff. And for 5 days, you have 20-minute meetings with every retailer. And he's like, listen, this show's going to be really hard for you. Like you have this like kind of new idea. It's not it's not ready to drink. It's in a stick pack. Like it's pretty expensive. Like it's a premium product. Like if you get like 3 or 4 out of the 50 retailers to give you a test in their store, like a few stores to see if it works in 2016, that would be huge. And I was like, I'm naive. I get excited at Talk Fest. This is like a very like traditional industry, like old school, like very conservative, like tradition. And I'm like rolling in like, let's go. I'm just going to be me. Like, I don't know what else to do. Right. Yeah. So I go to like my first meeting. It's with CVS, and like this is
in your hotel room, so people are just coming in and out.
Coming in, decked out Liquid I.V. 20 minutes. I'm like so nervous, like excited, and I'm just like, let me tell you about it. And they're like, oh, like we actually get it. Like we're seeing hydration is like trending. Like give back. What? So I'm like, so then the third meeting is like GNC. So long story short, after the 50 meetings, like no one said no. They were all like, oh, we love it. Can you come out to Chicago in 2 weeks? Can you come out to Target in 2 weeks? So by the end of the show, I'm like, I think it was good. And these guys, the Emerson guys are like, we've never seen anything like this. So they voted at the show out of like the 270 brands there. We were voted best new item of 2016.
The best item.
At the whole show. Yeah. So that was like all of a sudden, like talk about test to scale. We went from 100 stores to start 2016. At the end of 2016, like basically 10,000 stores. And then in 2017, like 20,000 stores. So massive scale. So like all of 2016 was just spent like, we got to get, how do we build inventory? We need cash. Like it was like no marketing at all. We didn't market the product till like the middle of last year. It was all like figuring out best, we need the best ingredient. We're like, we're going to source our ingredients here. We want to have the best, healthiest product. Like we're not going to like give up on like our true core of why we started this. But that's hard when you have freaking pressure from like the top retailers. Like I need it now. I need this. I need it at this price. So 2016 was just absolutely wild. 2017, I'll let you ask more questions.
No, I mean, keep rolling with it because I mean, that just shows you that it literally, all it takes is that one opportunity to go all in, to be willing to go to the store and sample it yourself and show people like, this is the product. I'm one of the co-founders. You need to try this, and just putting in the work. And then, like you said, test scale, and then just keep pushing and taking advantage of, you're in one Whole Foods, then 12, and then it keeps going. And then you have 50 mini meetings, making sure that every single meeting is the best meeting you could possibly have. I mean,
dude, you said it. I mean, you said it to me before, and I was so excited. I like wanted to tell you then, but you're like, I'm just like practicing the right thing in like these little increments, and like, but then when it gets to the big thing, it's the same exact thing, just at a bigger scale. So me selling to one customer at Whole Foods, when I flew across the country to Pittsburgh to meet with GNC, or I flew to Seattle to meet with Costco, I'm in a room of executives.
Yeah.
And you know what I fall back on? I'm like, I get, I'm like, think all these business terms, market value, blah, 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 right? I'm like, dude, it's your product. Like, just do what you do one-on-one with these people. And every time,
it works.
Every time, we haven't gotten to know. Like, people like love the product sells itself, and then our story, I think people really enjoy too. And I think the timing of like the market and hydration, just like it all kind of came together at the right time.
Yeah. What would you say is one of the biggest entrepreneurial lessons you've learned so far?
Whew, man, there's a lot.
I know there's a lot. What's kind of the one that kind of jumps to your head? Maybe recent or within a year, 2 years, or just overall?
I think like you'll hear this from other people too, but like you have to be absolutely relentless. Like,
I mean, you just like you were just talking about.
Relentless.
Literally.
It's like I can't, like, people hear all this stuff and like, wow, that's so cool. Do you know how many times throughout that time, like I heard people say no, or like why, you realize Gatorade is doing this? Like, why would you do this? Or like when I told my roommate at the time, when I told one of my friends at the time, like I was going to, instead of go to business school, he wanted to go to business school. Instead of going to business school, I was going to, I was going to start this because I felt like there was some momentum.
Yeah.
Literally laughed at me. And I'll never forget. I literally, for like a year, I would hear, when I woke up in the morning, I would hear his laugh, and it just drove me to like that. I was like, I know we got something here. Like, I'm going to keep rolling with this. Right. So just like, I could give more like specific examples of like when I needed to be relentless, but there's just so many times where like right when you probably think you're at that edge, if you just push a little bit more, you have these breakthroughs. I know. It's insane.
It's like there was a podcast I had, I can't remember who it was, but I think it was a guy or a girl, I don't remember. They were talking about it's almost like you're mining and you're just one pick away from the gold. And so many people just give up and they're like, never gonna hit it. And then on the other side, it's the gold. It's such a mental game, man. I mean, I see it with myself. I'm still so early on. I'll be at 2 years by the end of the month, but you just have to keep going. And that's kind of the mentality I always have had since I started, was just, doesn't matter number of plays, I'm gonna treat this from the jump like I'm already the top star.
I love it.
And that has translated so much into when people come in. Now it's just like, I don't care who this person is. I don't care what their background is. I'm going to treat them like they're my biggest podcast guest. I forgot to say it actually in the prep, because usually I tell every guest a little inside scoop. But when I bring people in, I always tell them, like, look at this wall. There's, it'll be right now, 98 past guests. The only podcast I'm really worried about right now is this. Like, this one. This is going to be the best podcast I've ever done, because that's just all learning. That's just setting me up for this one. Just like when you're in the meetings and you're selling to the customer in store. Totally. So when you're in that executive meeting, you're like, it's the same thing. And if you work yourself up and you overthink it, that's when you start to kind of catch yourself and you start to shake, or you're not ready to deliver. But all these little things end up just becoming necessary. You didn't deserve to be in Costco in the first month of business. Why should you? You wouldn't have been able to handle that. You wouldn't know what you're doing. You wouldn't be able to probably have supplied that amount of demand. But all those the Whole Foods to then, the selling in the hotel rooms like that, those were all those lessons. But it's so hard because we all just want to just toss in the towel at some point and just be like, I don't want to do this. It's that consistency, that relentlessness. And this is what I'm talking about, man. This is what I'm saying. These are the podcasts that I dreamed about, of like an actual story. This isn't just a theory of like, okay, I think I need to do this. I did this. This is where I started, and this is where I'm at today.
Totally.
This is priceless stuff.
Dude, just because you're so spot on. Like, this quote that I just read was like, every overnight success you've heard of took 10 years to get there. Yeah. So like, you're in year 2, just keep pushing.
I know. Kind of going back, I know you had talked about with your team, there's 20 of you now. How do you make sure they're all still passionate, though? I'm sure in the whole interview process, and they're all hyped in that first month of work, they're great. They're the first one in the office, they're the last one to leave. How do you make sure that your team is still so passionate and fired up, and they're still focused on what the goals are?
It's a really good question. To be honest with you, we're still learning. We're working through that process. We're scaling quickly. So like, we're learning. We as management and leadership are learning too. Yeah. I think it just goes back down to a couple things. I think one is that purpose again, right? So like, if they know how what they're doing every day is affecting the big picture, that's key. Like, I'm like so open with our team, like probably too open. Like, I like want them to know like my investor meetings I'm going to, or our board of directors meeting, or like I want them to know what's going on because I want them to feel a part of this thing, right? Like if my like social girl knows that every DM she's sending is affecting our marketing budget like this, that's affecting sales, that's affecting the kid in Haiti or Uganda that we're sending product to.
Yeah.
Like then I feel like they have that sense of connection to the purpose of the company. So I think that's huge. And that's why I'm so open with everything. And I want everyone to be in touch with all the pieces of the business. I think the other thing is like, we just have so much on our plate because we're growing so quickly that like, you can't get lax. Like you're either going to like, there's just, we don't have enough time. Like hours, it's not cash. It's hours is our number one resource that is just too scarce. Like there's not enough hours in the day. So of course the combination of like having a clear purpose and then like having like infinite amount of work, like it kind of like first I have to hire great, but it quickly weeds out the people who aren't like in it for the right reasons. Right. So like and plus we have like a stock option pool, which I fought for hard with my investors and stuff to get, because if I can give a little piece to like everyone in the company, like now they're owners. And now if we're working towards whatever that goal is, like they're going to make the upset. So yeah, they have their salary, but they also have this little piece of the company where like that has huge value as we continue to grow.
They feel attached to the company.
Ownership, right?
Yeah.
They actually have real ownership.
Yeah. Because then it's not only am I going to see, obviously they're doing it for the right reasons because they like what they do, but when they see the company grow and they see these successes, they know this is also going to help them too, because they are part of this. This is 100%. As much of this was your guys' idea when you started, they feel that connection. I think that's super important. And it blows my mind because I had a job growing up, and I won't say what it was. I don't want to even say the details of it, but I had seen ownership just not treat the employees the right way. Right. People that had been working for this person for a long time, and I saw where it's like, if you just give this person what they're asking for, they're going to do so much more work that it's going to bring you more money.
Yeah.
The customers are going to be happier, but you putting out that money in that short term, you're so caught up on that, but you're not looking at the long term of like that employee being happy and how much more sales that's going to bring, how much more happier he's going to be. It's just, it's smart though. You have to invest in your team, and you have 100%. To make sure that they feel like they are part of it.
They're the ones making it happen.
Amazing.
It's like good. It's good on both sides, right?
Yeah.
The example you're giving, it hurts the employee and the company.
Yes.
So like, then when you think about it that way, well, it's easy. Like, let's take care of them so they take care of the business, right? So
yeah, that's what it all comes down to. With every order, you donate 1 serving of Liquid I.V. to someone in need. Where do you think this passion for helping people really stems to, though? Where is this coming from?
My first taste, again, it's funny how it goes back to that college project I had. Like I was like, I loved that
it's a high
feeling. So it was such a high.
Yeah.
Like I still do. Like I love every conversation I have with someone. Like I'm like so authentically into it. Like it's not just because we're on here. If you ask any of those,
it's the same. I mean, we pretty much had the same.
We had the same conversation before we got on here. Like I don't know how else to be except for this. And so I was like very 1v1 on that. One-on-one doing this type of thing. And that first taste I had of like, wow, that same passion at scale can actually help save people's lives. It was like that was my like awakening to like helping people, right? So it was kind of a no-brainer when we got going. I didn't know how the hell we were going to do it. Like I've never done this stuff before, but I was like, somehow we got to connect this back to people who are actually like dying from dehydration, right? So we first got connected through one of my advisors who had done some stuff in Haiti before through a group called Hands Together. So they have like mobile clinics, they have schools. And so we were able to like send like a container of product over there when we first got going. And it was like the best money I could ever spend was like, I can help these people. And then all of a sudden, like no press wanted to talk to me about like the product yet or my story or anything, because we weren't anything yet. But people were like, hey, what about that mission of yours? And I was like, so now it's that whole good thing. Like people want to talk about it, which drives more business, which means I can help the people more. And it just goes round and round, right?
So circling.
It's kind of like good, like helping the right way is also good business, and it's all good. Like it just, it's like there's like the vicious cycle, and then there's like the happy cycle. And this is like the happy cycle.
And where are you guys sending them right now? Is there a certain place or?
We have a couple. So we still work with Hands Together, which is in Haiti, which is awesome. We're partnering with a group called Feed the Hungry. So we focused with them in Uganda. So last year we did a big project in Uganda with them. This year we're partnering with both of them. We also, I mean, there's, the whole international thing is great because there's a lot of press around that, but there's a lot of issues here. There's like dehydration
LA.
and homeless.
Look at LA alone.
So we went to the Midnight Mission and the LA Mission, which are both homeless shelters in LA, and we did a big project there. So what we're doing is we're finding best in class partners who already do this and saying, hey,
how can we help?
What's the best way we can help you? And like some of them don't need product, they need cash or they need other stuff. And for us right now, it's like we want to get our product in people's hands. And so there's a whole thing which we've learned, like a responsible way to give too. Like sometimes if you give a lot of product to like an underdeveloped area, like you could also be taking business away from local like artists. So we had to work through that.
People that are trying to just put food on their table too.
Right. So a lot of that is more like clothing and stuff like that is harder to do with us. It's a little bit different because we're just like, if you only have a limited amount of clean water, like if you could just multiply that with our product, like let's get that in their hands.
Yeah, that's a huge difference.
So we're doing that. And then the other piece is like, sometimes the only time we're not giving product is we're trying to build clean water situations. So like, we're in talks right now with a group called wateraid.org, and they're building a clean water well at a school in Nicaragua. And so even though it's not exactly with our product, it's in our world of hydration. And so you know, we're working out a partnership where we can help build this well and get clean water to these people, and then we'll bring in Liquid I.V. and we'll just multiply the water.
Yeah, and that I would imagine too takes a lot of time and resources, just trying to communicate and try to figure out. So it's like you're balancing all these things. You're trying to focus on your growth. You're trying to get these deals with these stores, and it makes sense of why you operate the way you do, and you probably have a million things running through your head. But the only way that happens is with that team, right? So then you have the right people that are actually in the communication lines and connecting these dots, and then it's actually happening.
The give back thing is like its own business. It's like
it's its own separate
thing. It's a whole own thing. Yeah, it's wild. It's wild.
What do you kind of see happening in the future? Like, do you have ideas? I know you had said something maybe about like a podcast. Like what do you think will help take this to the next level? What are some random ideas that you've been thinking about? How do you continue to build on the brand of Liquid I.V, but maybe not just the product?
Yeah, totally. So I think first off, we have, just with the hydration product right now, we have like a huge 2019. We're planning 2019 right now. We have some huge partnerships. Yeah, we have some huge partnerships like in the works. Like more stores. Mm-hmm. Again, we hadn't really done any marketing until the middle of 2017. It was all like in-store stuff.
Yeah. So word of mouth.
Right. So now we've really focused on our like digital platforms. So like our website and Amazon have become a huge focus for us. Mm-hmm. And so we've been building out our marketing team in order to both support the stores, but also support our online business. So there's like just infinite scale there, right? Like it's not like you know, like let's just say like a pair of shorts, right? Like I buy a couple pairs of shorts a year. Like with this, like people buy 30 of them, and then like a month later they buy 30 more, right?
That's a subscription product
right there.
Exactly.
So
that's
we're working
the
on
big
that.
thing right now, subscription world.
Big time, man. So hydration's big. The other thing is our science. So we actually we patented our delivery system. So we call it Cellular Transport Technology. So really there's other electrolyte products out there. Our whole thing is that we can deliver the water into your bloodstream, which we've talked about. And so the sodium, glucose, potassium is like this delivery. And so the big vision for the brand is that hydration is out in front of the curtain, and this is like our thing, but we're actually launching a sleep product in Q4. So think about the same delivery, where if you take like melatonin, for example, you take it, you only absorb like 15 to 20% of the pill, and it takes 45 minutes. Mm-hmm. You put melatonin with our delivery system, and you can absorb 75% of it in 15 minutes.
Oh my God.
So we have I'll send you some. We have a 6 sleep product launching in Q4. We have a couple other lines we're working on that I can't really talk about yet, but imagine like a wall of like, you got hydration, you got sleep, and then you can come up with like energy, probiotic, like protein.
This is going to become the place for just like a drug of everything you need for your body.
Right, the most efficient way to get it in.
For the mornings, for the midday, before you go to sleep.
Fueling life's adventures, dude.
Yeah, I mean, right? Like that's, how did you guys come up with that name?
Slogan?
Like the slogan, yeah. Did that just kind of fall?
Yeah,
it just kind of fell into place.
We always said like we want to be like adventure seekers. That was kind of what we wanted to do, and then the fueling, I don't know, it just kind of came together.
Was it the same thing with the name? Did it just kind of fall into place?
Same idea. We had tried a couple things.
I love the name. I think it's great.
Thank you. Yeah, I think just because it helps tell what it is, right? Like the IV piece.
It's healthy.
Healthy, right? Yeah. So we messed around, and one of my co-founders just said it one day. We're like, that one's good.
I think that's the one.
That might be
We're gonna write that down. How many of the co-founders? I want to shout all of them out.
They're long story there, but it's me and 2 other guys started together. We were like best friends, came together. One piece of advice is like starting business with friends is like really hard. So we're all still connected, which is awesome. They've all gone in their separate ways. Okay. So we started together. We built it to a certain point. One of them's in finance, is doing great in finance. The other one is out doing actually like give back stuff, like mission oriented stuff. So they're still involved. They still have some ownership, which is awesome. Yeah. And I'm the one still in like the operation of the business.
Yeah. I mean, definitely not easy to do business with friends because you got to like separate, and you can never really separate, I would imagine, even outside the office because
so hard,
it's still there. But it's learning lessons, and as long as there's some type of communication, then it's like, so be it. Everyone's going to go their own path. Everyone's going to do their own thing.
Totally. It's just part of the process.
Yeah, it is definitely part of the process. I think I had read this in an interview. You said, I truly don't see things as failures. I see them as learning experiences to get better. How has changing that perspective of failure helped you continue to move forward even when things aren't moving in the direction that you want them to move?
It's a deep question.
It is.
I would say like it's all perspective, right?
Yeah.
So like I'll go back to test to scale. The reason that model is me and Parker were at dinner on Monday night and we were just talking about this.
He told me to ask you a question. I haven't really directly asked, but he's like asking about what he thinks about scaling. And I was like, based on the research, I think I know what he's gonna say.
He would say that. No, like the whole test to scale model is like the reason you test literally is so you can fail. So it's literally like designed to like my dad always says this too, like fast failures are wins.
Yeah.
A slow failure means you took all this time you could have spent doing something else. Yes. So if you know something's not going to work right away, like great, next test. So like to me, it's all just how you look at it, right? Like that failure is part of me getting to the win.
Yeah.
I actually, if you flip the perspective and the paradigm on, it's like, I actually need this.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden something shitty happens. I get punched in the face. This happened yesterday. I was like having the worst fucking day.
Yeah.
Sorry. I don't know if
that's cool. It's cool.
The worst day. And I'm like, wait, this is the exact time when like I need to step up even more. Cause like this is the moment where I need to figure out how to get around this. And without like, this is going to help me get to my win.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm in the right place.
Yeah.
I need this.
Yeah.
Right. So I trust me, it's easier said than done. Like,
yeah,
I'm glad I put that in an article or something. Glad I said that because it's a good reminder.
Yeah, it's a good reminder.
It's so true, but it's like when it's actually happening, like that's the hardest time to recognize it. You're like, wait, no, this is what I need this.
Yeah.
Like, okay, what's the solution?
Yeah.
Like, and I can tell like the positive energy. I'm going to give you your next guy. You should go interview Stephen Borelli with Cuts.
I'm in contact with him.
Okay, good. I'm wearing his
that's his
Cuts.
stuff. Shout out to Cuts Clothing.
Get him one right now. We need to get him one. No, the kid has incredible energy too. So Jake Casson, who's the founder of Movement.
Yep.
I'm close with him. He introduced me to Steven and Parker at Feet and Cuts. And so like, it's this awesome little circle of dudes that like, we can bounce stuff off of each other. I lost my train of thought, but anyway.
Yeah, no, it's with time.
Failure.
It's just crazy with time because I even, I posted something on my Instagram story last night where I document a lot of my day-to-day grind, but, you know, I'm out there just slaying the Uber streets, and for 99% of the time I'm having a blast.
Let's go.
I make the best of it. I make the best. I'm shooting the shit with people. I'm a people's person, so I'm connecting. I'm passing out business cards.
Right.
But even yesterday, there's this 4 or 5 hour lull of I'm not really, the customers that are getting in just don't give a fuck. They're just sitting there on their phones, or they're just people I'm not having a conversation with. So then I'm sitting there in my mind just like, man, I'm sick of doing this. I've been doing this for almost 2 to 3 years driving full time. I've driven 60,000 plus miles in LA in 11 months, you know? So it's like, puts into perspective. And then I posted on my Instagram story. I was like, you know what? Just flip the switch. That's all it is. When you get in these mind of this, or even yesterday, you're like, dude, fuck this, whatever. Just flip the switch.
You're in control.
Change the perspective. Meditation's what taught me all this.
Huge.
It's like, boom. How are you gonna see it? You see it as a failure, or do you see it as a learning lesson, and how you're gonna improve in the future?
Dude, tell me about your meditation. I got to hear this. I'm like big into it now.
I got into it my maybe fall or spring semester, senior year of college.
Yeah.
Headspace. I'd heard about it probably on the School of Greatness podcast with that guy Lewis Howes I was telling you about. Was kind of in a tricky situation with my life. I was about to be graduating in a couple months. Didn't know what I was going to be doing yet. And I'd heard about this idea of trying meditation. I was like, let me just try it. And it took me a long time to like really understand the value and what it was going to teach me. And it wasn't just me sitting and going, which I thought was what it was. And it has completely changed my perspective on life, I react to I used to always be somebody with high blood pressure. When something would happen in my mind, and don't get me wrong, there are times when I'm like, my heart's racing through, but that meditation taught me how to react to yesterday.
Yep.
When I'm just, after 4 hours of just, I'm like, why am I like acting like the world is gonna end? Like, I'm healthy, I'm breathing, I'm working on my own time, I'm working on a business that I know is gonna take off one day. Change that perspective, and I was good to go. So meditation has been big game changer in my life, as I know it has for you. Twice a day, I think.
Twice a day,
I had read in an article too about, you said you did it, I think, in the morning and at night, but I think more people are going to get into it. I think it's good.
So you do guided meditation?
I've gotten to the point now where, like, today, I didn't even use Headspace. Wow. I was in the sauna, and I can just drift off and just breathe.
Yep.
And what it's really become now is it's me just positive affirmations. I'm on the right page. Keep working hard. Keep eating good.
Yeah.
You're connecting with the right people.
Totally.
Your family's alive. You're healthy. You work on your own time. You've had so much success. Like, just reaffirming myself that I'm on the right path. Mm-hmm. That's become a meditation for me. So by the time I open my eyes and I'm out of the sun, I'm like, got a podcast at noon, baby. Let's get it.
Yeah.
It's helped you a lot?
Big time. I kind of made fun of it, right? Like, my mom was always like, Brandon, you're too.
Oh, so she was into it too.
Yeah, and she was like, you're like so high energy, like you're always on the go. Like, this will actually, if you could take a few minutes to do this will actually make you more efficient with what you do. And I was like, Mom, come on.
Yeah,
I'm good. And then, I got to a point where I was just running too hard, and like, I'm a very extreme person, so I'm very all or nothing, right? So I work like until I get to where I want with Liquid I.V, like, I'm not going to stop. And like, when I start working out, when I start eating healthy, but I can also go in the other direction too. Like, it's easy for me to just like do too much of one thing.
Yes.
So like, balance is big for me. So like, I could literally work for 20 hours without stopping. And like, you think that's productive, but really, if I could just stop at like the 12-hour mark and get an hour workout in, and also do 15 minutes of meditation in the morning and 15 minutes at night and eat healthy, like, the balance has changed my life, man.
Yeah.
So like, I've realized that, like, in order for us to be successful, like, I need to be at my best. So whatever that means, right? And so for me, like, first thing I do in the morning is I'll just do like a 15-minute, like, I just do guided stuff. I'm not like some expert, like, people probably think like,
you use Headspace. What do you use?
I have like a couple people like on YouTube that I just like, I follow them, and
they're free. I'm over here spending $10 a month on Headspace.
Yo, you gotta bootstrap it, bro. Bootstrap that meditation.
Business expense.
Damn, I like that. Yes, I'll do 15 minutes in the morning, and then like, I get my workout in. I wake up really early. I would get my workout in before I get to work. And when I'm in this rhythm, like, I feel unstoppable. Like, there's so much shit thrown at me every day. Like, I don't know. I'm a control person, but like, my whole day is like, I'm gonna get stuff flying at me from every angle. If I can get one win under my belt to start the day, like, I get my meditation and I get my workout in, like, I'm in control of my day.
Game over. 100%.
Throw what you want. I already got me covered.
Yes. Yep.
And it's so funny. Sometimes I'll wake up and be like, I gotta start working. And I'll do that. And by 9 or 10, I'm like,
you're drained.
I'm drained, and like, I'm not on my game. Like, I didn't get brain in time in,
That's what I do first thing every morning. Gym, meditate, eat. And then by the time I do any emails or respond, like you
got your Bobby time.
I'm already good to go, because it already set me for the day. And I used to not be a morning gym person, and it's not easy walking in the door. But once you get moving, and by the time you walk out, you're like, man,
so money.
Throw anything at this day, and I'm gonna kill it. So and also too, just to add, when you're talking about, should I just work 12 hours and balance my life, or the 20 hours? The thing is, what I think comes down to is that it's quality over quantity at that point.
Totally.
Because that's 12 hours of you busting your ass and really putting in the work. What's 20 hours if you're kind of just half-assing in, the emails are kind of getting there, and you're not focused? Because there's days when I'm ready to go, and something that would take me on a normal day 2 hours only took me 45 minutes because I'm all in on it.
Totally.
So you could say everybody's different. Some people I know like getting up early and emails and all that.
Yeah.
For me personally, it's overwhelming. I don't want to do it. I just want to make sure that by the time I even communicate with people, text, phone call, email, I've already been up for almost 2 hours, 3 hours.
Game.
I'm ready to go.
Right.
Like, you can send me anything, and I'm gonna fire back at you.
Totally.
What do you think Brandon's purpose is?
I think my biggest, like I told you, like, I want to change the world. Like,
I love that. I don't have a tag yet, and I'm like,
Cup
Like,
Series.
should I get? Oh, what's the other one say?
We are one. So
Wow.
again, it's kind of the whole, like help everyone together. Like I want to change the world. I want to do it with other people though. Like that's why I love the idea that people can buy our product and they know they're helping change the world for the better. So like I think my highest purpose, right? Like, and I'm still early in my career, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is my start, right? Like, and we are helping change the world, but like, I want to do it on a larger scale. I want to like at scale, like full global scale. I want to be helping people like at the biggest scale. And so that's on the personal side. From a business side, like I say stupid stuff, but whenever I say it, then I feel like I can make it happen. Like I would love to own a sports team one day. Like
Really?
like I said, I love sports. Like I didn't get to play professionally.
Yeah.
So what's the next best thing? Like just play like fantasy, but for real, and be an owner of a team. And so like been a Laker fan my whole life. That'd be pretty wild. You heard it here first, everyone.
You heard it here. I might be cutting that clip and posting it when the time comes.
Hold that for like 15 years.
That'd be epic, man. I remember growing up as a kid. I would usually before I'd go to bed, sometimes I'd see like the Lakers game because the 3-hour time difference on the East Coast. And I remember even being in high school, man. I had always dreamed of living in LA, and I would watch 20 minutes of a Lakers game. I grew up a Celtics fan, Boston sports fan.
My
dad,
get out of here.
Yeah. Let's end the fucking podcast
later.
But I just remember growing up, and you'd always see the Lakers game with the lights low and the yellow core and the yellow jerseys, and of course they would show before game or mid game. They'd show like outside the palm trees.
Right.
To me, it was always Staples Center. I still haven't been there for a Lakers game yet, but Staples Center.
Let's go.
We're gonna do it.
I got tickets. Let's go.
We'll definitely.
We're going. Lakers Celtics.
Oh my God, that would be epic.
Loser has to wear the other jersey the next day.
I'm in. Sign me up.
Okay.
But I just remember growing up and seeing it, man, and just like it always it was like to heart to me because I was like, I'm gonna live there one day. Staples Center, the palm trees, LA. I'm gonna do it. And now anytime I see anything Lakers, it's like I did it. When I'm driving and I'm driving by the Staples Center, I still feel like a tourist. Because I'm living in the place that I always dreamed of living in, you know?
Dude,
so
I love it.
It's crazy to see these things actually come to life. We got about 10 minutes left. What's one question I did want to ask? You're nominated as a finalist for Forbes 30 Under 30 as a social entrepreneurialist. Has that been? Do we find out the results on that yet?
Yeah. So what happened was they called and they were like, "We'd love to have you on, but your birthday is 10 days after the." So I just turned 30.
Oh.
And so I was literally like, I think it was 11 days past. And so it was a pretty big
You gotta
letdown.
be kidding me.
Yeah. Hey, just another one of
You
those.
know what? But you know what that means? You got it. In my mind, you got it. Because if they called you and they're like, you already won it.
I know. So it's all good.
Keep it moving.
Good. Yep.
Then I will ask you this one, or I'll give you this then. Some podcasts I do this where I allow the guest to ask me a question. I stopped doing it for a little bit, but we're going to do it today. Mm-hmm. You can ask me any one question, any direct question about something we talked about today, something you want to know about me. One question, fire away.
Love it. Where's Bobby in 5 years?
Top of the fucking mountain. Top of Everest, bro. It's what I've realized, scaling. This is like the pot of scale
talk, baby.
If I can operate and get all this done in a bedroom, with a GoPro, with my man Carrick doing some behind the scenes stuff, there's no budget for any of this. If this can happen right now, can you imagine what's gonna happen when I start bringing in some money and really take this to the next level and have a full production? 3 cameras. We got one of a 180 like we are right now. Then we got the close-up of you just dropping gems. They got the close-up of the beard. It's game over. So if I can do these little things right now on a small scale and run a podcast out of my bedroom in 5 years when things are completely where they need to be and I got a Netflix series and maybe I have a TV show on YouTube that brings in guests and it's like a live audience. I don't know what it could be, but I'm not, the one thing, and I forgot you talked about it earlier in the podcast, I'm not emotional to where the road's going to take me. I'm not saying that in 10 years I'm going to be Purpose in the Youth podcast still forever. Mm-hmm. What I've realized is that where I need to be is myself, but as somebody that is helping others along the way, always remembering the kid that started this podcast back in 2016, not knowing what I was going to do next, not having a direction, so lost like so lost. Like I've always been a confident person, but I was lost, man. Like I was really, that 2 to 3 months of that first summer was really kind of hard on me because all my homies had jobs. They were like, yep, starting this job in September. And I just had an idea. Start a podcast. I have no idea where this is going to take me. I didn't know how I was going to make money. I was back. Remember before we started the podcast, I told you when I was in 7th grade, I started working for my uncle to make money. I was back at that same job. Thank God for my uncle. I love you, Uncle John. I got back from school. It was a summertime. It's busy for him. He's like, hey, I can use you if you want to just make some money. I had no job. I was like, I'll take whatever I can get. But I remember working for, once again, back to him, and I'm like, man, I started here when I was in 7th grade. I just graduated college with a business degree, and I'm back to square one. What's happening? Like what's about to happen right now? You know, it's like it was like a moment for me of just what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Do I follow with this podcast? Do I move back to Boston and just try get a job? Like do I do what everyone tells me, just get a job and just figure it out?
Yeah.
And it all worked out. I mean, it's still such a work in progress, but in 5 years, man, it's gonna be a game changer. I'm gonna have a squad, a camera squad, a production team when we're going to Liquid I.V's headquarters, looking out at the beach, and we're walking, and I have a whole camera crew, and we're just like talking about life and how the things have played out. You know, I can vision so much, and that's the good thing. That's when I know I'm doing the right thing because I know where this could go, and I just see the progress. I see the conversations that I'm having. Sky's the limit. So 5 years, maybe I'll have season tickets with you at the Lakers game. You know what I mean? Why not?
Let's do it.
It's a little bit of entertainment. So
let's do it.
We shall see what happens. Wrap this up. Where can people find you on social media? Where can they find Liquid I.V?
Yeah, at Brandin_Cohen. I spell my name a little weird. Brandin.
A little unique. Not different, unique. I
like
it.
My mom's got a little swag.
I like it.
A little swag. Brandin_Cohen. And then Liquid I.V is just at Liquid I.V everywhere.
What's the website best to find it?
liquid-iv.com.
Okay.
You can buy our website has like all the exclusive flavors and stuff you can't get everywhere. If you go in store, it's pretty much lemon lime, but any of those 20,000 stores you can find on our website.
Is that on Amazon yet, or is that in the work in progress?
Amazon. We're crushing on Amazon.
Oh my God. Everything I buy is on Amazon.
Yeah, so Amazon. Amazon's growing really fast.
You cannot be Amazon for, the Prime shipping or just the
It's
convenience of not having to worry about it. And it's going to show up in your door in 2 to 3 days.
Totally, man.
It's mind-boggling.
Super credible too. Like people just trust it. You know? So it's been.
Everyone's about those Amazon reviews. If you get a couple good reviews, get the ball rolling.
Yo, get those Amazon reviews going. Let's go. Leverage that. Purpose of youth.
Before I ask the last question, thank you for coming in today, man. I really can't say it enough, and I said it to Parker on his podcast, but it's amazing to just be able to connect with people like yourself, with people that are doing it. This isn't a theory. This isn't just an idea anymore. Like you've clearly brought this to life, and I love the aspect of giving back. That's like the purpose. I think I don't think it matters what you're trying to do with your life. I don't think it matters what the passion is. But I think we all have a duty to give back a little. And I'm not just saying that because I'm on camera. I will tell you that in person. That's just who I am. It's I always feel like we have a role. Some of us will be able to affect 20,000 people, 100,000 people. Some of us might only be able to affect 1 or 2, 3, 4, or 5 people. But I think we all, as human beings, if we're healthy, if we're in a good place in our life, it doesn't have to be financially. It could just be lend a reaching hand and pick somebody up. So I respect what you guys are doing. I appreciate you taking the time to be part of this. I appreciate you coming out here to be part of this project. Like this is the type of content I'm looking for. These are the conversations that I'm really trying to build. And shout out to Blake too for I know you mentioned that before the pod and during the pod, like to be that happy to be on the podcast, and that you guys are down in Mexico.
Yep.
The last thing that should be on his mind
talking about
is
Bobby's podcast,
the bearded
baby.
Man. And that's right, Blake. I'm the favorite bearded man. All right, but it's dope, man. It's amazing. So thank you for taking the time to do this.
Dude, this has been awesome. Thank you for having me. What you're doing is inspiring. Seriously, it is. Like I see like a piece of myself and like your grind too, and that's why when I walked in, I was like, dude, I love the hustle. Like just relentless, man.
Yeah,
just be relentless. I'm telling you.
That's what's going to come down to. That's what is going to be the big takeaway for me on this, is just the relentlessness. Last question for you. What's the best 2 to 3 pieces of advice you'd give to somebody that's listening, hasn't found a passion, hasn't found the purpose just yet, is trying to figure it out? What do you say they do?
2 to 3 things to find your passion, or they haven't really found it yet.
Yeah.
I mean, I think what's so cool about the world we live in is like information is at our fingertips, right? So like the opportunity there, like, you know, 30 years ago, 50 years ago is like, what's in my hometown? Like, what did my family do? Like, that's probably what I'm going to do. Right. Yeah. Like there's just like unlimited research. Just take my business, for example. Like, I wasn't a scientist. The last thing I would have thought is I would make a actual beverage. Right. But like, all of a sudden there was like this need, right? Like I was like very aware. I was like, I'm like paying attention, right? First of all, I was into what I was doing, but I was like paying attention, right? And I was like, there's this need. And then I had information at my fingertips. So I was able to go research and go talk to the right people, right? So I'd say like, just like being aware of your surroundings, like paying attention to what's going on. Like that's an important one. I would say another one is like, understanding yourself, or like being yourself and understanding yourself, right? So as I've grown up and I've gone through these different experiences, like knowing who I am, like what drives me is different than what drives you, is different than what, you know what I mean? Like everyone's very different. And for me, like I knew it was people, right? I like sports and I like people. So like, okay, like I played sports, and then like I started like helping people, and then like I went into work into sports, and then I started helping people again. Like, so like I understood what meant a lot to me. So I can wake up every day, right? And I'm like, I don't feel like I'm working. Like I almost never feel like I'm actually working, because even if I'm dealing with crap, like just stuff that sucks, I know the bigger picture is like it's to build this and to help more people. So I think like being aware of like myself and like what drives me is being able to find what I'm passionate about. Yeah. And then the last one, we got to loop it back to like the relentless thing. Like there's like the people where like things happen to them, and like you're the victim, and like this is like happening to me, which by the way, I get into sometimes. You even said it, like you got into it yesterday, right? But like everyone does. But if you can, if you know, like you have that ability to go, no, I got this. Like, wait, I'm in control of how I feel. Forget what anything happens. Yeah. Like I'm in control of how I feel. So whatever the word you want to use for that, like I'll use the word like, I'm not stopping until I get where I want, which is like helping the most people I can, growing our business to where we can, building the team and keeping them happy too. Like that whole thing to me is everything.
Brandin Cohen.
Let's go, baby.
Came in, man. Thank you for being part of this, bro.
Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. We'll catch you guys next time. See ya.